Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for joining us here on the Capital City Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. And I'm Christy Souders, one of your hosts for today, joined here with Mickey Moore. Hey, Mickey, how are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. Happy Thursday. I've got my nice warm cup of coffee with my high school alma mater, New Smyrna Beach.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm feeling good. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we are getting closer to the holiday season, and that means, a lot of people get to take some time to kind of do a little bit of respite, you know what I mean? But this is a good time to, with that holiday time that you have, to maybe catch up on 2021 for your business strategies, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a great topic. Just yesterday, I had a coffee with a small business owner who's just opened their business this year, and yeah, we were talking about, all right, where's 2021? Where you at? And this is a great time to sit down and formally, informally spend some future thinking time. Yeah, definitely.
That's brave for a business to open during this time of year. So kudos to that business.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, I feel like we're seeing a change, and I feel like it's going to be bigger and better after we get out of this pandemic. So the end is in sight, which is really good to see.
I agree.
I'm excited to hear about part 2 of the basics of strategic planning with you. So let's kick it off this morning. And we also want to make sure that everyone that's watching to share your comments and questions with us too throughout this live stream.
Yeah, thank you, Chrissy. And again, I had a wonderful time in the previous workshop that we did working in and on your business. And then this continuation going into the basics of strategic planning. I'm super proud to be a part of the SOUL team. So thank you again to the Capital City Chamber and Katrina and you, Chrissy, for letting me be a part of this effort. And so yeah, let's jump into it. So we're out of here by 3 p.m. Again, just kidding, making sure everybody's listening. But yeah, so strategic planning, today's basics, again, through my experience and doing it both as a for-profit and a nonprofit executive. These are things that I've gathered over the years that I want to share today. And our key components, talk a little bit about what strategic planning is, why you should be doing it, who's involved in doing a strategic plan, when, if there is a best time to do it, and then a few ways to execute it or how to actually create a strategic plan. So let's jump into what. So strategic planning, of course, is, and hopefully those of you watching, again, if you have questions on each slide or every other slide, throw them our way. We'd love to answer them along the way this morning. A structure and process by which to plan for the future, right? So you're putting it on paper, guide yourself, something to review, something to keep you on task. And I like the fact that it communicates really where you're going to anybody and everybody that ever sees it, especially your team or your stakeholders or your volunteers or your board members. But it communicates the goals and the actions needed to achieve those goals. Now, it can be short-term and long-term. I think years ago, strategic plans, and Chrissy, you maybe remember this, they used to be 5 years long, if not more. And nowadays, things change. Technology has really impacted, the speed of business, if you will. And strategic plans today can be as short as 12 to 18 to 24 months. So the action plan, strategic plan, I put that in there because call it what you will. Yesterday, I had a prospect tell me that theirs is called a work plan. And okay, work plan, action plan, strategic plan. And that leads me to the second to last bullet of nomenclature. Don't get too caught up in strategic plans as far as, should I call it a goal or an objective, or is it a strategy, or is it an activity, or, okay, name it whatever you are comfortable naming it. It's more about the content, right, that's in the strategic plan. And lastly, a strategic plan is a living, breathing document. I do not think it is one of those set it and forget it documents. This is something that, you got to be able to change periodically. because everything around us changes, and a successful business should adapt and be flexible. So recognize that it's a living, breathing document. There are things outside of your control that may impact an objective or goal that you wanted to do that now maybe you shouldn't be doing or just can't do. So living, breathing documents. So that's the basic of what strategic planning is. So we'll head along to why. So, for those of you that know me, I'm really keen on clear direction and consistent messaging. And there's nothing more important to that than strategic planning. If you have a strategic plan, you can provide that consistency and clarity to anybody and everybody involved with your business. Again, for profit or nonprofit. Keep it close to you, share that. With everything that's interrupting us today, right? You talk about disruptors in the marketplace. I think we had one this year. What was it called again? COVID. That's right. Yeah. So a little bit of a disruption. So if you've got your strategic plan there, it's still providing clarity and direction for your team, but then you can adjust it. And then there it is again. Now we're redirecting, we're pivoting, right? So you pivot on your strategic plan if you need to. So it is a roadmap, a path forward together, helps you set priorities. And then, of course, have timelines, results, and measurables. And I bolded the last bullet there, case for support. So primarily on the nonprofit side, your case for support is going to be the reason people should invest, right? You got to give donors reasons to invest in your cause and tell them where the money goes and the impact that it makes. To me, a strategic plan was always part of my case for support. So when I would talk to prospects, potential donors, I would make sure that they could see they're investing in where we're going. And a lot of donors appreciated being a part of that growth and that change. So keep in mind, a strategic plan can be used as a case for support. Certainly on the for-profit side, it can be as well. If you're in investor relations discussions and looking for others to invest in your business, utilize that strategic plan as part of that conversation. So those are the reasons, best practices as to why you should be doing a strategic plan. All right, who participates in this? Please, as a CEO, don't try to do this all on your own. As an executive director, please don't try to do this all on your own. And as a board chair, please don't try to do this all on your own. Let's bring people together. In the middle of this slide, you'll see with a little smiley face, facilitator, third party, throughout. That is not a pitch for me, but that is an honest to goodness first step, is having an outside party who can be objective in the process. That frees you up as the CEO, as the manager, as the board member, to be in the process free and clear, to be able to say what you need to say, to be as involved as you want to be. So I would suggest your first step in strategic planning is engage someone outside the organization to walk you through this process. Well, I added on each one of these pre and during and post, because it is a process. Strategic planning typically is not done in 30 days. The strategy session can be done in one day, but there's pre-work and post-work to getting the plan finalized. So I identified for you here through the who participates. So board leadership, executive level staff at your business would be involved in the pre-work. And we'll talk a little bit what that pre-work is in a few minutes. Also other stakeholders. You've got key clients, centers of influence, potentially emeritus board members and others that you value in this process that can also provide some help. And then during, so that's strategy session time. Yeah, that's up to you. I know at Southern Scholarship Foundation, we involved all of our staff and all of our board and staff retreat. And they all participated because you want to create buy-in in this plan. I've been there before. I remember those days, where I wasn't involved in those important conversations. And certainly that impacted what I thought about the goal or objective once it was presented to me. So I think these folks, you give them a chance to participate in the process, they're more likely to give all of their effort to you in accomplishing those things. So then after the strategy session, typically in the post work, it's between again, back to executive staff ownership, board leadership, to complete drafts, and then to authorize or approve the final draft at whatever meetings you may have at that executive level, and then present it to the team. So who participates? Basically everybody, just at different times, which is a good thing.
And it's always good to have more brains than just one, right? It's just always good to be open to getting that feedback, because some business owners or CEOs or people that had nonprofits, they're kind of really in it, right? And so they may be like just gung-ho on their perspective. And so
Yeah,
it's
it
good to
is.
have that
And like
outside
if you're
feedback.
going to surround yourself, when you talk about the power of association, if you're going to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, right? You want to hire the best people, you want to have the best team and A team. Well, then why wouldn't you want them to participate in this process, right? They're smarter than you at certain things. They do things better than you in certain ways. You got to bring them in to that process. And then the other side, Chrissy, to that is, share the weight, right? As a CEO, as an executive director or board chair, there's already a lot of weight, and it's primarily on you. So why not share some of the weight of where the organization's going? Because you can't make it happen by yourself anyway. Whatever plan you come up with is not just you as the ED or CEO that's going to make it all happen. It's got to be everybody pulling that rope together. So, yeah, good points. All right, so we'll talk about when to do a strategic plan. Now, okay, not in this moment, right? But the point here is think about it now, okay? The last workshop, we really focused in working in and on your business. This is the kind of thing where you're working on your business, right? Where you're thinking about where you're at today and where you want to be tomorrow, and what activities it would take for you to get there, okay? So you've got to spend some time in that space throughout the year. And when you talk about doing a strategy session, here are some of the best practices and ideas in that regard. So think about your fiscal year. That could impact when you do it. If you have a board of directors, are you going to do it right before the board leadership changes or right after the new leadership comes in? And if you've got an annual meeting, do you want to do it before or after the annual meeting, or the other time of the year away from the annual meeting? And again, it's all about time and energy here. Right? You want to try to do a strategy session while you're also doing the board turnover. It can be a lot of responsibility. The full plan update every 2 years. So that was assuming that your strategic plan, again, is 18 to 24 months in length, because you don't want to just do it, set it, put it in the drawer. You've got to do some activities around it to refresh it and update it. Again, objectives, goals, strategies, activities, they change. So you've also got to come up with an update process. So strategy session, we've talked about that. Annual surveys will help you determine when, if you're doing these annual surveys from clients or donors or board or even staff, it could tell you a better time to do that. And then lastly, always on the agenda. So this assumes your strategic plan is done, but just picture this, if you will. However many meetings you have at your business, whether it's a quarterly, weekly, monthly, meeting with board, meeting with leaders in the organization, your strategic plan has to be on the agenda and in front of everybody all the time. I know at Southern Scholarship Foundation and TMH Foundation, when we did these strategic plans, honestly, I could see the eyes of the board members every time it was on the agenda in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, here we go. Mickey's going to talk about strategic plan. How does this fit into our goals and objectives? Hey, everybody, here's our plan." Yeah, I know it was there and it was painful for them. But after 3 months, 6 months, the light bulb went off and it just started to make sense. And then it became part of everybody's nomenclature, and building that culture of philanthropy really took off because they saw the path, and our board members and our staff, they saw the path we were traveling, and they just started moving faster and faster. So always have it on your agenda. Okay, so we're flying through pretty good this morning. So how to do it, basics of strategic planning. So this is where your facilitator, really puts in good time and energy and effort here, and allows you to participate in the strategy session and creating this plan for your business. So typically, the first step is an assessment and engagement time period. Really, this is where you're inviting some of those people we talked about earlier to give you some feedback on where the business is today, how it's doing. And then where they see it going, maybe some ideas to share with you. And it can be the catalyst, again, for input, ideas, and changes. And it's the real beginning of creating some overarching goals for the business. I think most of the time these days we use technology, Chrissy. We use surveys, right? Because it's easy. You can do a 5-question survey, 10 questions. You can then export it into a spreadsheet. It can be shared. It can be graded. So I'd encourage you, when you consider assessing and engaging these stakeholders and other groups, use a survey. You can save a lot of time. Definitely.
And then also, it's actually, in surveying, it's also statistics that you can show to people as well too, to also back up. That's what I've used it for, is to just have evidence. You know what I mean? That this is what the feedback is from the surveys. This is what the people are asking for, and this is where they're at when it comes to a particular topic as well too. So it can also be used as evidence.
Fodder, right, to support whatever you want. Yeah. And it's interesting because, again, we all do surveys. I mean, sometimes I skip them when they're in my inbox. I get it, but I've seen too many surveys just go to waste, right? They go through the exercise creating and sending it, but are you actually bringing the results of the survey into the organization or business to make improvements or changes, right? If you're going to do the survey, use it to the betterment of your business. So I will add, though, I like the interview process too. And Chrissy and you and I talked about this earlier this morning, and I enjoy being, face to face in the room with stakeholders and asking good questions and involving them in this process. Because even when I was an ED, of course, and a CEO or an executive, I don't have all the answers. And sometimes my head's down so long, I see a lot of opportunities go right by me. So you got to be in the room talking to these folks, assessing and engaging. So once you do that step, then you jump to the strategy session, big or small, everyone in the room, only a certain number of people in the room. That's your decision. We've talked about that already, who should be involved. But basically, this is where your facilitator is with you for a couple hours or half a day. I've seen board and staff retreats for 3 days. It just depends on what your organization wants to do. And I've shared here a few of the exercises that typically a strategy session would involve. So you've got environmental scanning. Basically, it's a question sequence around those things that impact your business and the industry, the marketplace, your competition, the SWOT analysis. Raise your hand if you've ever done a SWOT analysis before with a business. Woo! Okay, yeah. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There's start, stop, and repeat, or what I use is start, stop, and continue exercise. So that's a good update exercise for a strategic plan. Scamper is a new one. I haven't used it yet, but it's a lateral thinking technique where you're asking questions around. I wrote it down, Chrissy, because I don't want to mess up Scamper the first time. So it's substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. So it's a lateral thinking technique, which basically allows you to challenge what you're doing now and position yourself for change or modification in the future. Have you heard of that one before?
I haven't, but I feel like it's always good to have a product or something that you're doing that is versatile and that can be repurposed or it's hard to always invent, right? You might as well repurpose something that you've already invented or see if it can be utilized. So is that in the same vein,
Yeah,
Mickey?
yeah, it is. And again, in my research of Scamper, and I'm hoping to use it soon, they give you some wonderful examples of questions, but it is around that, right? Are we utilizing this thing, whatever we making or whatever we're selling, in the best possible way, right? And it's not always throw it out and start over. It could be, as you said, reinventing it, changing it, modifying it, or to use the acronym of Scamper, right? To reverse it. Let's reverse course. But just
I'm
know.
definitely going to use that, and people will probably look at me like, "Are you okay?" But it's
You're a
okay.
scamper? Okay. Anyway, so but the point here again, strategy session should be more than um, just everybody get in the room. So how we doing? Right? No, that's not strategic thinking. Okay. You've already done that assessment engagement prior to coming in the room. You use that information to seed and to be a catalyst for strategic thinking during the session, not just idea dump or not just a complaining hour or two. It's strategic thinking to move the organization forward. Years ago, it was brainstorming. You remember that? I remember when I first, got out of college and, hey, you got to have brainstorming sessions. Okay. That's kind of what it is. But at least now we have more information that can help guide that conversation. So, okay. Next step is plan execution. So once after the strategy session is done, a really good facilitator will get you a summary document, putting together some of the thoughts and ideas. And then there's drafts that will be completed typically with leadership, whether it be volunteer leadership and or staff leadership, or just your department heads at your for-profit business. But this is where those drafts of strategies, tactics, activities, timelines will be added, and then put together into your budget considerations. There we go, right? Because at some point, you're talking about financial impact in the next 12, 18, 24 months based on this plan. And I've seen a lot of good plans, but few of them are executed as had hoped because they lack the resources, i.e., budget, behind it. But eventually, you want to have it approved so everybody's buying in, and you continue to review it and evaluate it and modify it as you go. But don't skip the important step of how it impacts your organization or business financially. Okay. All right. So there's some ways how to do it. And then here's my secret tip. Woo! Again, for those of you that know me, I'm sure you're surprised I have anything up here about track and field or running, but this is something really that's helped me, and so far it served our clients well. As for me, when I've done strategic planning in the past, through my professional career and growing through the years, sometimes the strategic planning process just seemed just kind of vague to me. As I needed a little more clarity of how I can focus on certain parts of the business. And I remember when I was in banking, we talked about a lot supporting our line of business partners. And I kind of changed that over the years to thinking about the lanes of my business, the lanes of our business. So when it comes to your strategic plan, and when it comes to working in and on your business, I've always tried to identify the lanes of my business or organization so I can compartmentalize a little bit, so I can focus on what lane I'm in today, what lane I need to be in tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to a strategic plan, why wouldn't you align your overarching goals, your strategies, your objectives along those lanes as well? Because what I don't think you want to do here is create a strategic plan that's only in one lane, because these lanes work together, right? Movement in one lane is going to impact movement in the other lane. If I drop the baton in lane 1 and it rolls over to lane 2, there's a problem, right? So it's always helped me for clarity purposes and where I'm spending my time and energy. But on a strategic plan, it helps everybody kind of see what lane our overarching goals are in. So here's a few examples. Every business has a human resources lane. You've got a business operations lane, and that's all things customer facing or donor facing. Talking about your products and your clients and what you do for them. Financial operations, yeah, as you guessed it, that's money coming in to your business and money going out of your business and whatever happens in between. Marketing communications lane, and then you've got on the for-profit side, you've got sales and sales management, right? What are you doing proactively and consistently in regard to retaining, acquiring, or expanding those relationships, those clients? Fund development, of course, that's on the nonprofit side. Same thing. What are you doing to be proactive and consistent in retaining and acquiring, expanding your donor and donor base and those relationships? And then lastly, there's a governance and legal lane. As you well know, Chrissy, on the nonprofit side, you've got boards and governance, and there's a lot there, right? With the committees and all of that. Takes up a lot of time, but it's an important lane in a strategic plan. And then on the legal side for profits, of course, your documents and everything you've got to keep track of there as well. So if anything you walk away this morning, take a picture of this tip, because lanes of your business will really help you function better, allocate resources better, and identify your goals and objectives and strategies and know where they belong in your business. Chrissy, what do you think?
And also that focus, right?
Yeah.
And you had mentioned last week about putting everything down on an agenda. So also with scheduling as well too, you could essentially say, okay, I need to work on this lane right now. I have an hour to work on this lane. And then at the end of the day, you would feel like, okay, I've focused in these areas and I feel comfortable in closing the books for the day, just going home and having, non-business time when you're at home and enjoying life and all of that, because that's why a lot of people go into business. That's why a lot of people like to work in the nonprofit world, because it allows them to not only be helping people, but, give a better quality of life too, because you choose your career based on that, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I firmly believe in practical guidance, right? And I get there's theory out there on how you do things, and yeah, that's good too. But for me, in my experiences, this kind of a practical tip is what has really helped me. Even yesterday, when I was talking to an attorney who opened up his new business, it was, getting him to understand how important it was that he was conversationally competent across all lanes of his business, right? And until he can build a team and then contract or hire someone for financial operations or marketing communications, he is going to, just like I do, he's going to have to spend some time in each one of those lanes somewhere. And, what that percentage is going to change weekly. Again, we talked about the balance. You remember the thing I shared last week on the seesaw, right? That seesaw's never been this way. It's always moving. So is your time and energy as a CEO, a business owner, an executive. So these lanes, very practical. Yes, schedule it, focus. Hey, this week, I know I need to spend some time in financial operations because the audit's coming, or the budget is due next month, right? Or I need to spend some time in HR this week. Why? Because evaluations are coming due, right? I've got to do that. So again, lanes of your business, think about it, schedule it, allow it to help you focus, compartmentalize, and identify and delegate and align your resources. It's good stuff. So I think the last one is just a little bit of, a few highlights to remember. The plan needs resources, people, technology, investment, and time behind it. It is a piece of paper at the end of the day. It is hopes and dreams and goals. It's got to be supported through other things, people, technology, investment, and time. Understand where the plan's place is in the organization or the business. Is it the highest priority? Is it right under the articles of incorporation in the bylaws? Yeah, it's somewhere in there, right? Don't let it collect dust. Future ideas and suggestions should be vetted by the plan and budget. Yeah, this one, maybe I should have bolded this one because so many times we get off of our plan. And look, as a good CEO and a good executive director, that is going to happen where you kind of fall off a little bit and then you got to get back on, all right, get on task. That happens. There are day-to-day things. There's crisis management, on and on. The whack-a-mole. There we go. The whack-a-mole of running a business happens. That's why we have this plan, so then you can get back on track, okay, even with an adjustment or two. But I will say, ideas and suggestions that come from volunteer boards, come from staff members, come from stakeholders, any and all time you get those, receive them, smile, thank you for your contribution. Let me get back to the plan and see where our budget is and see how it fits in our plan. That's okay, right? Slow roll it, be managed growth because this is your plan. Avoid that mission creep. Again, on the nonprofit side, we all know what that means, but even on the for-profit side, we know we have a mission. We know what we're really good at. And when these new ideas and things, look at the plan, and then is this still within the scope of what we want to do and who we want to be, right? Mission vision is always going to play a role in this plan. And change it, right? The plan can be changed. And then lastly, it's got to be championed. Partnership on the nonprofit side is so important between the executive director and the board leadership. Neither one can execute a strategic plan all by themselves. And they shouldn't have to, right? Success is partnership in that nonprofit setting. Let your committee members help you with strategies and objectives. Let your staff execute some of the activities and strategies and objectives. On the for-profit side, same thing. CEOs, please don't take the full weight of trying to get your plan done all by yourself, right? You've got people in the ranks in your business that want to contribute and participate in the growth of your business. Give them the plan and let them play a role, all right? But yes, you have to champion it. You have to talk about it more than anybody else, just like I used to at Southern Scholarship, and my board members would be, they've had it up to here with the plan. However, when we look back 12 months and said, completed, wow, way to go, everybody. And we celebrated together. So champion the plan.
And I want to share this comment from Carlette Smith. She says, good information. This is helpful when you are managing and working all areas of your business.
Thank you, Carlette. She attended last year.
And yeah, I'd like to know, Carlette, because I know she joined us in the first session as well, too. Share with us, and for everyone who's watching right now as well, too, share with us your business. And then maybe, after this, when it lives as a video, Mickey can get in touch with you and maybe help flesh out some of these things for you, particularly towards your business specifically, because it's different for all different types of businesses. Correct, Mickey?
Yeah. The final solutions, are never, templated for anybody. We're all, different in the way we do our business, and these best practices can be massaged to best benefit you, right? And that's what's important about consultations, right? And again, being part of the Soul team, super happy, to be doing this with Katrina and you and others, to where, yeah, let's have that first consultation. It's on the house, right? Let's talk about it, share some best practices, and we go from there. We're here to help our local businesses, transition from wherever they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. There's a lot in between those two things. And that's why we're here, whether it be strategic planning or whether it be best practices on working in and on your business, or financial best practices. I know other partners have been doing classes too. So take advantage of what the Capital City Chamber is doing for you and offering for you. It's really a super thing to do.
And also the free consultation is on the website, Capital
Mhm.
City Chamber of Commerce. There's a little icon that stays with you throughout when you're navigating the website where you can sign up for a free consultation. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I guess one other small thing I'll share, which is maybe an extra step, especially on the nonprofit side. But when you get your formatted strategic plan of goals, objectives, strategies, um, what I'd like to do is align those lanes with committees as well. When you have committees on the nonprofit side. So if you have a fund development lane with goals and strategies and objectives, well, that can be aligned with your development committee, right? So then now your development committee clearly sees where they can put some time and energy into helping accomplish some things, right? So on the for-profit side, it would be the sales and sales management department, right? Whoever's in your sales department, they own that overarching goal and strategy and objective when it comes to sales and sales management. So it gives them, again, clear path and direction on where they can participate in the growth of the business. And look, I think that's what we all want. I've been on boards, and Chrissy, I know you volunteer in the community. I've been on boards before where I'm like, so what do you want me to do? And outside of the job description that they gave us, it's okay, what would you like me to help as a volunteer board member? And I'd love to see a strategic plan with strategies and objectives for the committee I serve on, and then I can jump right in, get busy, let's go. Right? Other than, I know you want me to give you some money as a board member. I get that. That's always a given, right? So again, lanes of the business, aligning it with your departments and or your committees can encourage and provide clear direction for team members to help. So yes, more
Yeah,
business
which is
strategies. Thank you.
really important. Really, really important.
Yeah, thank you. So there's more business strategies, something about running your business. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for putting that up. More2business.com. But I'm happy to help and talk and wherever I can. Thank you.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing for the next 2 days is I'm going to be going back through this 2-part series and writing out my strategic plan
Yeah.
for the new year. Because
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit, as a business owner, especially a small business owner who doesn't have very many employees, you are doing everything right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think having a clear direction is certainly going to be very beneficial, especially starting off 2021.
Yes, great thing. And if you're a one-person shop or 100-person shop, we can all perform in this realm to some degree. All right, it may be small, like you said, but we should all know our lanes of the business and just be aware of different times of the year or different times of the month or different times of the week where you're spending your time and energy. It can't be 100% in one lane all the time, right? So sit down, do a little mini plan. You're not going to go and hire a facilitator, Chrissy, for just you, right? And I get that. That makes sense. But go through the exercise. It's well worth it. Yeah.
Well, excellent. And keep those questions and comments coming as well, too. And also make sure you check out Capital City Chamber of Commerce's website for a free consultation. All right. Well, Mickey, this has been great. Thank you so much for putting on this series and definitely some really great information to sink our teeth in as we approach the new year. I want to say happy holidays to everyone and also happy holidays to you, Mickey. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays to you, and I'll see you soon, I'm sure. And Happy New Year to everyone out there. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.